Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm your host, Todd Blackstock. We're glad to be back on set. It's so nice. It's been so long. And we'll start having guests in studios when it's appropriate. Well, we have a special guest today, the head basketball coach at CBC High School, Justin Tatum. So stick around for this and much more coming up next on Inside Sports. And welcome to the show. Our special guest today won a state championship at CBC High. He attended St. Louis University and had some great success at Soldan High School. And now he's back in his 6th or 7th year at CBC. We'd like to welcome on Inside Sports right now, Justin Tatum. Justin, how are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. It seems like you've kind of come full circle. You had a fantastic career at CBC High School. You go on to Soldan, or St. Louis University. You come back, go into coaching, and now you've gone full circle back to CBC. How's it been?
It's been a journey unexpected. My thing is, younger days, I was trying to hopefully have some success playing overseas or, playing basketball at the highest level. But, I tended to came back and got into coaching and then fell in love with it. And so now find myself to, teaching knuckleheads like myself was probably back in high school, for 14 years now. It's been a true blessing. So, I wouldn't change anything for the world.
Fantastic. And playing at CBC, you got to play with Larry Hughes, and that must have been quite a treat. There was always a big story about Larry. He was, such a great player. And there was a sad story too with his younger brother. I remember that was kind of a big deal back in the late 90s.
Yeah. I mean, playing with Larry, we've been probably best friends for 30 plus years now, but been playing since been 15 years old. It's always been fun seeing his success in 12, 13 years in the NBA. And, with his brother passing early off in our high school, early college career, it was good that he had strong family members around. But, every day I know he fought hard in the love for his brother. So, but that was just, great and sad times, but we all grow and, we're seeing our kids play in high school and, things like that. So everything happens for a reason, but we're blessed now.
Now, one of the players on your CBC squad this year is Larry's son. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about how he's doing right now and a little bit about the season?
Well, Larry's in his 3rd year. He came in as a freshman, and when he played varsity a little bit, but he got injured early. They kind of, held him for the rest of the season his freshman year, and then he came and played a significant amount of minutes last year as a sophomore, helping us, go to the Final Four. And this year he has, he has a lot of development, and he's doing well as far as progressively coming along and, not fulfilling his dad's shoes, becoming who he needs to become, but he's doing great helping our team, sustain his 4-0 record so far. So, I enjoy coaching him. I get on him tough and hard. So, how, I'm like his uncle and, it's my godson. So, how to separate that in coach. So it's been fun for the last 3 years coaching.
So who are some of the top prospects on your team this year? And maybe you want to discuss a pretty good player that went to North Carolina that was on your team last year.
Well, this year we got a strong, significant amount of juniors, junior class with Rob Martin is our point guard, probably about 5'7", a magnificent floor general, knows how to, get a shot at any time. You talked about Larry, is about a 6'5.5" shooting guard. Combo, he can definitely score the ball and shoot very well. And then we have a young man named Mikhail Abdul Hamid, who's about 6'5" as well. And he's really been like a snipe shooter. He can really shoot the ball, and he's learning how to put the ball on the floor. And we're being led by our senior, Chevalier Karate Brinson, who's probably about 6'4", who's going to go play football at high levels after this year. But he's the one that, helps us in the middle. We got a 6'8" kid named Eric Holmes, he's a junior as well. Development has been coming very great as well. He's doing, he's playing awesome at almost averaging double-double this year. So we got a strong class there, and they had a good leader last year in Caleb Love, like you mentioned, in North Carolina, who's playing North Carolina now. Who those guys were up under for at least about 2 years until now they can take over the team themselves. So it's a seasoned team. Most of those guys played varsity a significant amount of minutes last year. So those guys know how to win games and close games and been in big game experiences. So I'm looking forward to see their development this season without a 5-star recruit like Caleb. So these guys can mature and do their thing on their own.
Very nice. So after your playing days at CBC, you went on to St. Louis University, played with Larry there, and you got to play for Lorenzo Romar. That
Yep.
must have been pretty cool. Coach Romar, fantastic guy, and he had so much success. We didn't get to keep him here in St. Louis too long.
No, Coach Romar came in and definitely a player's coach right after Coach Spoon. And, he played in 5-on-5 games with us. He still had a little spunk in him. And, he brought in a player coach type of personnel. So, we had success towards the end of that year, making it to the tournament, I believe, beating DePaul that year. And so we just knew how to, we just had to find a way to grow with Lorenzo. So, we couldn't keep him long. You can't keep a coach who understands and can motivate players and come change programs in a short period of time.
We're going to pick this conversation up in just a moment. We're going to take a quick break on Inside Sports, but we will be back with Justin Tatum right after this.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
And welcome back to Inside Sports. I'm your host, Todd Blackstock. Our special guest today via Zoom is Justin Tatum. Justin's the head basketball coach at CBC, but before CBC, he was the head basketball coach and athletic director at Soldan High School. We'll get to that in a moment. We want to pick up the conversation back with St. Louis University. I'm sitting here looking, St. Louis University has had some great success. If you think about it right now, St. Louis University, University of Missouri, and Illinois are all having fantastic seasons, and it seems like they're starting to get some of the kids from St. Louis to stay home a little. What do you think that's attributed to?
The coaching staff, from probably watching other programs have success from local neighborhood kids who have, 3 to 5 stars that the city has built themselves around, watching those kids come up in their high school career. So I think SLU, Illinois, and Mizzou, started when they coached Conzo and Coach Ford coming on in. They was like, hey, there are really good kids here, really good, strong AAU programs. Let's see how many we can get to attract, the fans and things like that to uplift our city and build our programs, and then we'll go from there. So I think that's a contest to the coaching staff and the head coaches.
Sometimes SLU gets buried behind Mizzou and Illinois, but with Travis Ford, I think he's brought him into national prominence. But if you think of the coaches that St. Louis University has had in the, in the last 25, 30 years, you got Spoonhauer, Lorenzo Romar, Rick Majerus, now Travis Ford. That's an elite level of coaching.
It is. We've been blessed to have some great coaches coming through our town and, put their mark and embrace their will on, our city and the student athletes here. So like I said, I've had at least 2 of those coaches and got a chance to know the rest of them, a little bit during their time of coaching. But we have to consistently make sure that, our kids, the top players around here see that you have great potential Hall of Fame coaches here, you know, you might want to, you know, it's very attractive to maybe stay at home and don't make the coaches work so hard to, like, you know, recruit you to get here. You kind of want to play for one of these guys who may have, you know, made to the Final Four or had a ton of winning seasons or whatever those guys might have brought or bring to the table. So, you know, those are very attractive coaches that came through the town. So it should be very kind of, you know, easy for kids to want to, you know, play here.
Yeah, I'm sure you're getting a lot of phone calls, you know, and such for some of your players. CBC, always a top program. Was it kind of weird or ironic playing and winning a championship with Bobby McCormick and then coming back and replacing him like, you know, 15 or 17 years later?
Yeah, it was a minute. You know, it felt a little weird, but I mean, at the end of the day, I love to coach and I love to win, and I wanted to really see my alma mater get back on that successful track. So, you know, once the kids and the players started to embrace my style and my determination and what I wanted to, you know, my impact that I wanted to put on this program, you know, all the other, you know, the style stuff didn't really matter anymore. But you know, everything moved on, went well, worked out. You know, we won another one, and you know, we won a ton of districts. Made it. You know, my son probably halted me from stopping to have a couple more Final Four appearances. But you know, we got this, you know, this program back on track, and it's been enjoyable to see the players come through the program and have some success, you know, in college wise, and make sure that they graduate and always come back and, you know, tell the kids coming on how to do it. So I've been enjoying my 8 years. This will be my 8th year at CBC this year, and so I've been enjoying every minute of it.
8th year, I said 6 or 7, so I guess I was reading maybe an older article earlier. You had great success at Soldan. I mean, the public high has a lot of talent. A lot of the talent gets, you know, kind of recruited by the CBCs and the DeSmets of the world, but it happens. Great success. Can you talk about your time at Soldan, because you were the head basketball coach and the athletic director?
Yeah, love Soldan. Soldan gave me a chance to kind of like develop my coaching skills and my love for being on the sideline. So I love my tenure while I was there for 6 years. So I mean, it was new. It wasn't as resourceful as where I'm at now. It wasn't as dedicated as far as, like, you know, players. You had to kind of like put your will on them to get to, you know, practice and, you know, other extra things. But it taught me to be patient, and it humbled, and it made sure that, like, you have to be in this to love it and not for the money, because it was totally for the love. So Soldan will always have like a major place in my heart, because it prepared me for where I'm at now, and because it let me know where I came from coaching. So like Soldan is, I'm always root for him. I always try to schedule him on my schedule somehow, if it's me or a lower level, you know, because I like to say, hey, this is the reason that, you know, I'm able to come to work at CBC every day to, you know, give my will to these kids, because I know where it started from. So Soldan was great.
Justin Tatum joining us on Inside Sports. And Justin, this year has been kind of weird. I guess it started at the end of last year. I remember I'm covering the Missouri Valley tournament for Inside Sports and STL TV. And it seemed like in the beginning of the tournament, things were going to move on, and March Madness was going to happen after Arch Madness. But then there was an NBA player that was like jokingly playing on coughing into mics, and then all of a sudden he got COVID. Then all of a sudden it's kind of blew up. It ended your season last year. It's got to be affecting this year's season. How are you dealing with it?
By time it came and gone by now. But you know, it came and went. The hurt, you know, the disgust, you know, everything that we felt as a group. Me as a coach for the kids, especially for, you know, my seniors last year, Caleb and Kyle and Justin and those guys. So it hurt, you know, and I'm like, why couldn't we done this? I try to find 1,000 reasons what, you know, the state could have done or we could have done and just play the game and got it over with. But now, you know, like I said, my kids, 80% of my kids are back. So they felt that as well. And we use it as not as a fuel to our fire. It's always going to be there, but we use it as like, we belong back there next year. So, I mean, this year. So we're going to make sure that we don't have to develop team chemistry towards the end of the season. We want it in the beginning of the season. So it's different ways that we use it, you know, to make sure that that is a drive, that's a push for us to get back to the Final Four.
I'm thinking back of great St. Louis basketball players. I mean, it goes back to Bill Bradley. I remember in the 80s with Steve Stepanovich, I think he was the number 2 pick after Ralph Sampson. Then you have the David Lees and the Bradley Beals and the Heidi White, Chris Carrawell, Lauren Woods, and and now Jayson Tatum. You see St. Louis is becoming a real hotbed of basketball players being recruited. And I don't think it was always a big recruiting land, but in recent years, it's really picked up. And what do you attribute that to?
Those guys, or some of those guys' names you just put it before them, because they have, like, the Jahadi Whites, the David Lees, those Larry Hughes. Those guys have had success in the NBA and were professional about it. And and people, those scouts, like, where do they come from? So we have programs like the Brad Beal, who produces and stages for the kids like Brad himself and Jason and a couple other guys who just recently went. And that attracts and say, hey, St. Louis is small. We can come in there and see about 4 or 5 potential pros, or at least 2 or 3, instead of driving all the way out to, or flying to California and got to drive hours and from different cities and things like that. So we have become an attractive hub because of those guys you just named, of how they're playing and how professional they are, and how they let everybody know how much their city means to them. So it's very easy to be like, hey, as a head coach, or in the pros, or a scout, say, hey, what is St. Louis producing, what they have, because it might be something because of those guys that playing very well right now.
And I'm thinking that you guys have a lot of like summer leagues and the Eagles and just different summer camps like yourself. You have some summer camps. How important is it to host those events like that and have the kids playing maybe in the summer on some of these special leagues?
It's very important, especially for high level players. That's how they get seen. And people feel that you're going to go to this high school and get recruited by Duke or North Carolina. No, that's not it. Some of us might have a relationship with those college coaches, and if we see that you might have a skill level set to play there, you can. But normally, it's your AAU coaches, or some of the tournaments that you go to during the summer. And it is not really all the high schools. So when you go on to some of these summer camps and summer league games, you have to find a way to present yourself in front of coaches and have some write-ups, and then they'll find out what high school you go to and start to build that relationship with that high school coach if they don't know them already. So it's very important for kids to play in the summertime. Very, very important, because college coaches can only come to 6 or 7 Division I college coaches can only come to about 6 or 7 your high school practices and games. And so if they only can come to 7 of them, if they're not recruiting you, then they're not coming. So they got to know something about you. So it's like I said, the importance of summer basketball is very important for any athlete that is trying to play at the next level.
Each year when CBC and Chaminade get together, it's a very special thing. And several times a year, including maybe this year, you'll play Chaminade, several different times. How important is that matchup? I know it's kind of, you got family and friends and, this kind of a tight-knit basketball community in St. Louis. And as many people as possible will want to go to that game and those games.
Yeah, it is. It's been a battle since before back when I was playing, but now coaching and recent, the kids know that we're probably the 2 top programs in the city, year in and year out. We're definitely 1 and 2 in our conference. So if you want to make a mark, you want to stay on top of the hill, you got to keep. It's Chaminade got to beat CBC, or CBC has to beat Chaminade, no matter what. So playing this game Friday night is similar of the last 15, 20 that we've played in the last 8 years. It's going to be a battle. They have a really good group over there, well coached. It's always tough. So but we won the MCC the last 2 years, and so winning that, we beat them 4 times. So they have a little grudge on their shoulder to come up and get this win tomorrow, Friday. But we're playing at home, so we should hopefully be okay.
When I was growing up, my dad was my coach for a couple of years in like Little League Baseball. And then he kind of backed off and coached some other kids because he thought he was too tough on me. Now, when you took the job at CBC, Jayson, your son, who's now with the Celtics, obviously, was at Chaminade, and everybody knew that he was going to come over to CBC, and he didn't. Was there? I know your family had some discussions. Any particular reason why not?
Not really. Besides the fact that like I said, I was coming over in the sophomore year, And, one of the main factors was, besides Jayson has built a relationship with his friends there since 7th grade, because he went to the middle school, 7th and 8th grade, and then we played freshman year there. Then I was coming in sophomore. So most of those, he built a relationship with those kids, and what he would love to have to played for me. We had to think about what the state might have done if it was transferring from private to private. 90%, 98% of the time they sit the kids out. If you transfer from private to private, you have to sit out a year. So we had to take that in consideration. So it wasn't just a cakewalk. And I, as a dad, I said, hey, you're not going to be in high school forever. I want to coach this until I'm tired of basketball or coaching basketball. So you'll be here 3 years and then you're gone, and I'll still be here. So he's like, go enjoy that. You never want to take something away from your kid, especially if he has built some rapport or his own castle. So he did good. He won a state. I just I had to battle him twice a year, and we sold out arenas. We did everything that we put a show on for the town for 3 years to my expense, because I lost all those games except for one.
Oh, boy.
So it was good, but now it's over, and so it's fun to have these battles without him.
Yeah, we're just about out of time, but I'd be remiss not to ask about how Jayson's doing. I was speaking with our our supervisor Andre Holman here, and he reminded me that Jayson played JFL football back in the day. And so I kind of remember like covering some of those games when he was growing up. At what point in time did you guys decide it was time to focus on basketball, and how proud are you of the great strides he's made? 1 year in college, one and done, into the NBA, and he's really turned into one of the top-notch players in the NBA.
He is, Todd. My words can express how proud I am and what we've been through to get him to this point, and how he's taking it from there. Every day I'll just read an article or just see something he did. I just, as a dad, I might just send him some heart emojis. He'd be like, "What is this for?" Like, man, I just love you, just how what you become and what you're doing. But that's how proud I am of him. Just especially now he's giving back and trying to be a positive role model for not just kids in St. Louis, but kids around the world. And I noticed, and I stopped him at 8th grade for football. I said, hey, this is it. We ain't going to take no more hits. We're not going to be, I know you're pretty good. Matter of fact, I know you're really good in football, but we're not going to take any more hits, and we're going to just, stop it there. And so after he played 8th grade in that fall, and then that was it after that. So it was no more after that. So it wasn't a hard decision to make for me.
So does he pick up the tab when you guys go out, or does Dad still pay?
Oh no, he picks it. I might do it if we're going to get a McDonald's or cheeseburger or something. I might get that one. But anything restaurant or Uber Eats or whatever, send it to him. I've done enough.
Right. Well, hey, Coach, thank you so much for joining us on Inside Sports. Any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to mention about your team or your camp or anything?
Well, we haven't set the dates for camps, but you can go to tatumnation.com. We're going to update the dates on the camp and let know what the dates are going to come for the summer. We just have to wait from the restrictions from the county and what the schools say. But tatumnation.com is the website, the webpage, and give you all the information about that. And just for my team, we're just excited, being able to play this year, even though it's tough with mask on. But we want to make sure we play safe and do right, and hopefully end up back in the Final Four.
All right, there you have it. Justin Tatum on Inside Sports. Thank you so much.
Thank
have
you,
a
guys.
lovely day. We really appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Appreciate having me.
All right, well, that's our show for today. We'd especially like to thank Mr. Justin Tatum. What a guy. Homegrown here, St. Louis, went to CBC, St. Louis University, coached at Soldan, now at CBC, and, great role model for his son, Jayson, who just signed that huge multi-$100 million deal with the Boston Celtics. Well, I'm Todd Blackstock. Thanks for watching Inside Sports on STL TV Experience St.